Hello and welcome to another episode on the Cybersec Migrant. My name is Femi, and this week we're coming in with another episode that's going to be interesting, exciting. I'm actually very excited for this one because my guest is someone who I haven't told her this before, but she's a bit of an inspiration to myself and a lot of people because I've had that conversation because her story is really, really fantastic. My guest today is Parisa Saqib. Parisa, welcome to the Cybersec Migrant.
Thank you so much, Femi, for having me, and thank you so much for this amazing podcast and for the amazing introduction.
Like myself, Parisa is an immigrant, so we both originally are not from Canada. We're both in Canada right now. We're in the Vancouver area, and she is from the very beautiful country of Afghanistan, which I will admit I don't know a ton about. So I'm going to start from there. Parisa, tell us about your story. Afghanistan to Canada, that's almost diametrically opposite ends of the world. So how did that happen?
I want to talk about Afghanistan, and I won't stop talking about it. It's a beautiful country. I was born and grew up in Afghanistan, and I did my schooling, high school, everything there, had my friends. I started university there, and then I had to move to Canada in 2021. And in 2021, when I moved to Canada, was the year that the country fell over to Taliban regime, which was a very heartbreaking news and also a very tough year for a lot of us, not only Afghan people, but the whole world. And then it was the time that women and girls couldn't go to school anymore. The women were not allowed to work, and I decided to do whatever I can for my people and for the people who are here as well.
That's interesting. I recall some of my earliest, again, for a very long time. Now, I know I've seen pictures of Afghanistan, and I never knew they've got some really beautiful mountains in the north of the country. Had no idea until I saw some pictures. I didn't even know they get snow. I've always thought it was somewhere in the Middle East, but it's not really. But what I found interesting is, and again, you talked on that story, which we're going to talk about this a little bit later. The culture there it's very rich, but I always found it strange that it's one that the most popular Afghani person is probably Malala, right? It's probably the most popular one for her fight for the right to an education, if I don't put it that way. And I think that's been something that's been really profound, not just, for her, but it's just sort of put a spotlight on the country for that reason. And like you actually say yourself, when that happened in 2021 and it fell back to the Taliban and all of that happened, and it was, was that part of the inspiration for you that set you on the path to get into cybersecurity? Because again, I'm going to say this, preface this by saying, cybersecurity is traditionally a male-dominated industry. So it's only in recent years that we've been having a lot of women getting into the industry as well, yourself included. So was that part of that motivation behind that to actually get into that space as well?
Yeah, for sure. People who fight for women's rights and human rights has been part of my inspiration all along. And it hasn't been only a couple of years back, but also when I was doing my high school, when I was doing my university, when I started my university, when I moved here, even when I worked here, they have always been part of my life. I come from a family of human rights activists. Both my parents are human rights activists. And growing up, I learned that you should not be afraid of challenge. You should go and learn. And one of the main reasons for sure that I went for cybersecurity was because it was a male-dominated field. And although it was one part of it, I wanted to make sure that people in my country, not only in my country, women in the world know that they can do it and they can go for it. And I am very privileged and lucky to have amazing people like yourself and a lot of people in the industry to support me and also that I have their support.
Yeah, and I think it's, again, thank you for putting me on that list. I appreciate that. Again, you mentioned that you were, university and you had to leave and, move to Canada. So when you moved here, having to go back to school, I guess you went back to school. What was that transition like for you? How was it? How easy was it for you to balance, studying and work and acclimatizing, getting used to a new country, new culture, new people, new food, all of that? How did you manage all of that?
It definitely was a challenging time. Wasn't easy moving to a new country, and for the first year I was still continuing the university that I was studying already. And due to different time zones, I had to leave that university, couldn't finish it. So I had to restart the whole process of university. So I lost 2 years of studying. And I was also working with newcomers as well, because when I came here for the first year, I have seen so many gaps, so many issues for newcomers. There were a lot of things that we were not aware. So I worked with a lot of newcomers and immigrants to make sure they don't have the same challenges, they don't have the same issues. And for me, balancing it was a little bit challenging, but I made sure that one of the things that I made sure to do was put my health as a priority at the same time that I go for my school and also work, which is very hard to consider these days. We always want to grow in career. We always want to make sure that we get the A grades. We want to make sure that we check on our friends. But one of the things that I made sure, beside doing everything, was to make sure at least put one day off for myself and for my family, because I get a lot of my energy back when I'm with my family. And that is how I balance it. I go climbing. I love climbing. I also spend time with my family. Um, that's how I balance it.
I think family is great. I think it's very important to have a supportive family because it can really make a difference in one's both professional and personal lives. I think it's very important. Let's talk about your cybersecurity experience for a bit. So, you finally chose cybersecurity. How was it? Did you find that there were some parts of it that were like, why on earth am I doing this? Or was it like, why haven't there been so many women doing this? It's so easy.
My journey in cybersecurity had its ups and downs for sure. During time by times, I did have imposter syndrome and I felt that I don't belong. I did also have the times that I was like, oh my God, this looks so easy. Why are we even looking at this? Or sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is such a basic thing. Why are we overlooking it? Overlooking this. But there have been some times, especially when I do capture the flags, sometimes that challenges me, by the way, all the time, which is why I love it. I always look at it and I'm like, how do I approach this? How do I go for this? And most of the time, it's something basic that you don't think it's going to work, but it does, which is interesting. Yeah, my journey in cybersecurity, there has been ups and downs for sure. I do love each part of it. And I believe those ups and downs are what made me who I am and brought me where I am.
Now, let's talk about your day-to-day role. So you're a cybersecurity analyst with a post-secondary institution. In fact, you've done this with two different post-secondary institutions. I'm not going to name it them. So for anyone who wants to know, you've got to follow on LinkedIn to get to know a bit more. But tell us about what does your day look like, and what do you find the most interesting part of your role, and what do you find is the most, I wish I could outsource this to AI part of your role?
That's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
Given that, well, it's a typical cybersecurity analyst job. You look and monitor attacks. You make sure you're up to date. When I start my day, the first thing that I look up in the morning is my emails for sure and the logs. But also I look up in Google or whatever browser I have, cybersecurity news today. And then I see what happened in the past couple of hours to make sure if anything has impacted where I work or the systems that we are monitoring. We also talk to other cybersecurity analysts and other people who work in the same field to make sure, are we on the same page? Do we need each other's support? Is there any attack that is going on? Other than monitoring and cybersecurity positions, responsibilities, what we do is we make sure we do reach out to different departments. Phishing simulation, of course, raising awareness is something we do.
To put you on the spot, what part of cybersecurity do you find the most interesting? Tell me ethical hacking, because you said you love CTFs.
I do love CTFs. I am interested in I find operational technology or OT security interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's mostly very much, everybody is in the mindset of it's air gapped. So it's not prone, or like there's no attack surface. Or
Yeah,
people think
really?
it's hardware. So there's not. And believe me, I'm going to be honest with you. When I ask some people, whether they're working in IT or not, when I ask them, oh, I'm interested in OT security, and one of the funniest answers that I get or questions that I get is like, oh, you mean working overtime in security? That is the questions that I get most of the time. I do believe OT security does need more attention, which I'm happy that a lot of post-secondary institutions are looking into it, and a lot of companies are looking into it. But there's a need to be looked at the gap between engineering side of it and also security side of it. So they have the same mindset. But yeah, I am interested in OT security.
I completely agree. Completely agree. I think OT security is a very interesting area because, again, it's the part of security that it's very easy to forget that it actually can be an ingress point into your network. Like, it's just, I think what makes it worse also is the fact that many times, most of the OT interfaces are outside your perimeter, if I could put it that way, or they're on the edge of your network most of the time. So out there, it's open to, the public, everyone can see it. And given enough time and resources, if someone wanted to get into your network, that would be a good place for them to start. I think it's very important. Personally, I'm a GRC person, so GRC and IAM, I'm happy with that. CTFs don't particularly intrigue me, I'll admit. But let's talk a bit about your role in the cybersecurity community. It's very important, I think, for anyone who's going to build a successful career in cybersecurity to actually be involved in the community. And that's something that you're very, very, very involved with. Talk to us about that. What's your experience being involved in the cybersecurity community, especially at least here in the Vancouver area? What's your involvement like?
Thank you very much, Femi. I really love that question. Whenever somebody asks me about cybersecurity community, I go and talk for like 20 minutes nonstop. Yeah, I do love the cybersecurity community here in Vancouver, especially. Well, in Canada in general, but in Vancouver especially because it is such a small community and, most importantly, supportive community that everybody is trying to help each other and uplift each other, which is something that intrigued me to join the communities more and more. I do remember it was 3 years ago that I joined one of ISACA's events, and one of the reasons was because it was in ECAT and it was in downtown campus, so I could easily take SkyTrain and go there, and I just attend the event, and it was a free event, so I was like, why not? And when I went there, I met a lot of people from ISACA, from community, from other universities and school that I did not know or was not aware that other school had cybersecurity programs, which was very interesting experience. Everybody, officers and participants, they both were very welcoming, which I loved it. That's why I'm still here. I do see, I do see communities very important, especially the people, not only because in cybersecurity, being united is important, but also as humans, we need support from each other. For me, when I joined ISACA and I saw how supportive the community is, and it inspired me to start a club for cybersecurity students in BCAT, which is White Hat Cyber Crew. I really was very happy that I had the support of the community, and they were guest speakers. When I reached out to them, they were all very supportive and happy to support students and give them answers, and they were all working in the industry. There are a lot of other communities. You can find yourself wherever you like to. Like, if you like technical side, you can go and talk to them. If you like GRC, you can go and talk to them. If you just want to have a coffee chat and know about security, you can talk to them. They're very welcoming. In that energy, there's a saying that what comes from heart sets in heart.
True,
I hope I
true,
said that right.
true,
So
true.
I feel like a lot of people are very genuine. All the people in the cybersecurity that I have encountered are very genuine. I feel like I should give back to the community as well. But yeah, I do usually when I talk to other people, other students, when they want to be more involved, one of the things that I always say is just come for one of the coffee chats. Just come for one of the events. You don't have to be in the cybersecurity to talk to people. You don't have to work in the cybersecurity to be able to talk to people in the community. I have found a lot of good friends from the cybersecurity community, which is, I feel very lucky to have them. And it's amazing to have people around you, in a place that you feel you belong to. And that's where I'm going to stop talking. Otherwise, I will be talking about communities forever.
I'm going to still stay on that theme of community. And what do you think? How important is that to actually growing your career in cybersecurity? People want to actually get into their career, grow, move up the ladder if they can. How does, community getting involved, how does that help with actually growing in your career?
Absolutely. It definitely is very useful and also very important. Well, the first thing that you will know is if anybody is hiring, you will know first because when you go to coffee chats, for example, you get their LinkedIn. And mostly people, when they hire, they post it on LinkedIn. And the easiest you can do is one of the tips that I would say is never be afraid to reach out. Never hesitate to reach out to people, especially the hiring managers or hiring people. And never be afraid to ask for coffee chats. And one of the mottos that I have, like one of the ideas that I have in life is, what is the worst that can happen? They will say no. That is the worst that can
Exactly.
happen.
I
And
agree.
yeah, that's why I will always say, do not be afraid to talk and have a voice. And it is definitely also one of the things that I would suggest is when you talk to people is make to show who you really are. Because technical can be taught. Being genuine is very important in the community. When somebody's hiring and they know you, they talk to you, what the first thing that they will do is like, oh, I know this person is going to like apply, or like this person was looking for a job, so I'm gonna share this posting with them if they're interesting. So the most important thing is you will be aware of the opportunities out there.
That is true. I remember someone once said the same to me, said, a closed mouth never gets fed. So if you want to eat, you've got to open your mouth. So if you want a job, you've got to ask for it, right? And I want to go back to one of the things I talked about at the beginning. You're a minority and you're a woman in cyber, a male dominated field. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges you've had, over the course of your career? Some of the biggest wins you've had, and where do you see representation going forward?
For me personally, biggest challenge was the imposter syndrome for multiple reasons. A lot of people that I know started technically ethical hacking or hacking at such a young age, like high school, while I started it in university. Imposter syndrome for me was one of the biggest challenges, happens time to time. But I do have amazing friends and family that always reminds me of what I can do. And thank you. And the biggest wins, I would say my biggest win is to have supportive community and family and friends. That is the biggest win in the industry that I had. And one of the main reasons that I always go ahead in the industry and encourage other women and girls or people who identify as women is you can do it. So if you're thinking about it, you can do it. And that's what I've believed all the time. And one thing, I read something a couple of years ago, and it was saying, if you're thinking about something, God has put that in your mind and you have that capacity. Otherwise, you wouldn't have even be thinking about it. So I believe if you're having a goal I wouldn't say a wish or a dream, because dream is something that will stay in dreams. But if you have a goal, go for it, try your best, and always make sure to ask for it. And as you said, a closed mouth will never get fed.
That is true. That is so true. And I think you couldn't have put it better. I think it's always going to be challenging. It's always going to be, there's always going to be that imposter syndrome. I still have it sometimes, sometimes there's a challenge. It could be, I'm not going to paint any specific scenario now, just for privacy reasons. But sometimes you look at certain scenarios and you ask yourself, can I really do this? Or you're in a room with a lot of people. Some of them, you look at the accomplishments that they have and you ask yourself, do I deserve to be in this room with these people as well? Because they've got all of these accomplishments and all these things behind their name, if I could put it that way, all those alphabet soup that we usually have. But I think with time, I've learned to also appreciate, well, not appreciate is the wrong word. Be proud of what I've achieved again, because again, it's no mean feat. I had to sweat to get to it, so I had to read, I know how hard it is to read, to study, to do all those practice questions or, practice network topology, all of that to get to where I am today. So I'm actually very proud of it sometimes. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important. I think imposter syndrome can be the biggest thing. But I always say to people, it's good to have that because it can serve as fuel for your fire to set you on your way. So if you have a bit of imposter syndrome, that's a good thing. Just make sure you use that as fuel to actually make you better. Okay, so let's start to bring this together and sort of wrap this up in a bow. If someone said to you and said, "Hey, Parisa, I'm thinking of going into cybersecurity, studying for cybersecurity, or I'm new to the country, and I don't know just what I want to do. Could you give me some advice? What would that be?"
The first thing that I would say would be take your time. Don't rush through things. And you will find what you want to do slowly. And if you want to get into cybersecurity, don't rely only on school. Be initiative, be active, and make sure you practice. Also, think out of the box. Also think ahead of what is happening already. Always have questions. Be curious and ask why, what, who, where, because that is how you can find your way. If you don't know what you're doing, that's okay. And if you're not doing good or okay in something, that is okay as well. So do not put pressure on yourself. And also, I'm going to end this with this sentence: take it easy on yourself.
That makes sense. Okay, so it's been a very insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing all of those insights. Quick fire round. 2 fun things about you we don't know, for example, that you're open to sharing, of course. We don't want to overshare.
Fun facts about me, gosh. That's one of the questions that I always, that's something that I have always been trying to be prepared for, but you can never be prepared for that question.
True.
2 fun facts about me is I did karate for 3 years.
Okay.
And I have multiple gold and silver and bronze medals. That's first one. Thank you. That is first fact. Second fact is, I think I mentioned I like climbing, but oh my god, yes. The second fact is I love wordscape games. Like when you make words with letters. Oh my god, those, I love it. Like games like Word Connect or Wordscape. You can
Wordle, all of them.
Oh my god, if I start, I can go like 50 or 60 level in one day. So I love those.
Are you one of those people that spend your free time reading the dictionary or the thesaurus?
Oh
because my brother does that a lot.
Oh my god, my free time, I just go climb.
That's nice. I think climbing is fun, although I kind of have a fear of heights on that. I always feel I'm going to slip and fall. It's never happened before, knock on wood, but it's always a fear that I always have anyway. So It's been nice having you, Parisa. It's been so good to have this conversation and talk about your experience. If our audience wanted to get in touch with you, follow your work, what's the best place to get in touch with you? Or follow your work, what's the best place?
Thank you very much for having me in this amazing podcast and sharing your amazing questions. I love being here. The best way to reach out to me would be my LinkedIn. I am active there. I do not share my email usually, but LinkedIn is the best place to be in touch.
So You heard that if you want to see what Parisa is doing, all the fun things she's doing, all the good things she's putting out there, check her out on LinkedIn. I'm going to put a link to her LinkedIn down in the comments below as well, so you can actually go there. You don't have to go type in it. There's going to be a link there. You can follow what she does on LinkedIn. Please no stalking. Just, be professional about it. And once again, on behalf of the audience, I want to say thank you, Parisa, for coming on. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in again to another episode of the Cybersec Migrant. Remember, we're available on YouTube and all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Castbox, Audible. Anywhere you get your podcast, just search the Cybersec Migrant and you can find us there. And until next time, when I come your way again, this is Femi signing out and saying thank you.